Welcome to a little bonus feature that me and Cam have decided to do on the old Cobbles and Cols podcast for your listening pleasure. We talk about the recent, or the death of GCM Plus, the crazy money that you must have to watch a niche sport of cycling these days, and the TNT package. So here we are, or should I say, Cam? Do you have anything else to add to this intro before we get into the meat of this discussion point?
first intro. Yeah, I like it. No, let's get on with it.
Cam, as the finance man,
Yeah.
can you explain it to us mere mortals who are just angry that they want more money?
Yeah, so it's a rights thing. So technically it's a rights thing. So you've got ASO, who's Armory Sport Organisation. Their primary IP is Tour de France. And what they'll do is they'll shop it out to people. So ITV, classically have had it for years and years. That's how you and I used to watch it, with Chris Boardman and Phil Liggett and all those kind of people, right? Ned Boulting. Then what happened was, yeah, exactly right. Yeah, classic stuff. Big lance, little socks, black shoes. So what happened was, depends who you ask. So what happened was the ASO also own, I think, Paris Tours, and then you've got the people that run the Vuelta, you've got the people that run the Giro, and you've also got, I think it
ASO own the Vuelta as well.
So you go, they own the Vuelta, and it's the Giro guys, and it's also the Belgian. They own like the Northern Classics.
Is it RCA?
RCA, right? Yeah.
Or RA? Yeah.
So it's RCA. Yeah, RCA. I'm pretty sure it's RCA, but it's about rights accesses.
Or is it RAI?
It's about.
I think RCA is the Cam Nichols cycling.
Oh, it is. Yeah, very savvy. So it's about. It's primarily about rights. So GCM was like £7 a month, and I think if you think
it was
about
too
this,
good to be true, and it is true. It was too good.
So if you think it's £7 a month, right? And I think they had 50,000 subscribers. So just do a bit of maths. So they were making 350k a year out of that. I think it was more, but just call it 50,000. Then it went to £12 a month with Discovery, but it had less IP on it because they weren't producing the movie. But what it means is that Discovery only actually needed to migrate 50% of the GCM Plus subscribers. And because, honestly, it was a marginal increase. It wasn't marginal. It was 50% increase. But the difference between £7 and £12 is just maybe not buying a bun at Fortitude. In general terms, right?
Yeah.
However, the difference between £12 and £30, it's quite demonstrable. It goes up from being Netflix pricing, which you don't mind spending because you might find something a month you'd like to watch, like, I don't know, Cyclocross Classic, or like the April, June calendar of like Northern Classics cold stuff. And the Giro, great. And you can, generally speaking now, from a racing calendar, switch it on in March and switch it off in October. So it's worth maintaining a subscription, not just buying the month of the tour, right? Frankly. However, what TNT's done a gamble with is say, well, we only need 50% of people. So all these people being outraged, there's two of us on this podcast. If I buy a TNT subscription, they're quids in. They don't care about you. They only need to capture 50% of people. And I think it was talked about on the Lantern Brew cycling podcast and this time last year. And I think I've said it before, but someone really needs to go and try and do what Bernie Ecclestone did for Formula One, which was, at the time in the 70s, Formula One was loads of different world championships. It wasn't homologated. And what he did was he bought the rights for all the different ones, put it under one brand, Formula One Inc., or whatever it's called. And then you, as a central holder, have access to all of the rights. You distribute it. The ASO in the teams, also the teams that are on the Tour de France, they don't get revenue share of TV rights. It's like so really,
Yeah.
it's a specific thing for cycling. So if you're I don't know if you're a small company like Vivi Fantini, right, and they every now and get a wild card to like the Giro, you don't actually get any of the ads or the exposure from cycling. Physically have to get it through your jersey out there, and that's why they put people at the road. But if there was a rights sharing deal between the organisers, of course there'd be more money in cycling. People would want to pump advertising into it because very much like Formula One, you get it kind of back in the wash. You buy into the platform, and then there's other things cycling can do, right? Like the F1 Paddock Club, really, really expensive, but
Is that the thing on their website? There's a subscription
yeah,
that is like £20 a year, but then
no,
it
the
says
Paddock
your
Club,
own
Paddock,
F1 pit wall.
yeah. So Paddock Club is like if you go to Silverstone, you
Okay.
pay like a
Oh, so
thousand,
in
you pay
person.
£1,000 or something like that, and you
Oh,
go
like
and
Club Wembley.
correct, you go and walk down the pit wall. You can watch Lewis getting in and out, like stuff like that. But that's also the kind of stuff that people want from cycling. Surely they want to be in like the staging area. They want to, people are already paying tickets to watch the team presentation happen. Surely it's in the interest of cycling teams that go on, like cycling big world tour cycling teams with like 20 million euro budgets go bankrupt from one year to another because they're like, we need a title sponsor. We make no other money apart from people with the hand in the pocket. There's no like rights deal. So yeah, the TNT thing, they only need 50% of the subscribers, which means they only need 25% of people that bought GCN Plus to buy the TNT package, and they'll survive as a bit. They'll break even. It's as simple as that. It's 25% of people. There was 4 people in a group chat. One person buys it. TNT makes the same money, and maybe I'll do it honestly because that website where it says don't touch the ads. Be careful.
What? Tis.
Yeah. Remco's website.
Hey, Remco posted it.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a massive shame. It's a huge shame.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I think the impact of people not being able to watch it is I guess the main anger. As in money is, I guess, every subscription has gone up, so everyone's just going to be like pick and choose it. But the actual like, how are you meant to get people into the sport by like not showing it? Because I don't think anyone who's got like a TNT package now is going to care that the cycling's been added to it, unless because they probably only got it for the football,
so I
and all
mean,
they're getting is cycling and is it
MotoGP.
MotoGP?
The sad thing about it, man, is that it's now no longer. So the sad thing about it was that GCN did it really, really well. Don't get me wrong, we didn't know what we had, but GCN, you could argue, largest cycling media brand, biggest name recognition. Maybe not largest
Yeah,
cycling media brand. ASO is bigger, obviously, but name recognition. You know,
yeah, because they got YouTube and they always pump out videos. It's kind of if you're on Google, I'm sure their video will come up before anything ASO related, right?
yeah, that's it. And like, if I ask my mum, where would she find? If I ask my mum, do you know who GCN are? She'd say yeah, and I'd say, do you know who Armbury Sport Organisation is? She'd say no, and I'd say, well, they run the Tour de France. Oh, well, I do know them by association. The
Yeah,
GCN thing was great because people knew GCN for cycling, and they were like, "Oh, you've got a race thing. Okay, maybe I'll try that." If it was, I tell you what, this is my wild theory. If it was £30 a month with GCN, I don't think people would kick up a fuss.
no, I think it's maybe they would. I don't know. Well, I guess with GCN you get like other cycling content in it, but I don't think GCN would ever be like let's price it at £30 a month.
But do you think people are pissed off about the price? And I'm not playing devil's advocate. I genuinely think this. Do you think people are pissed off at the price, or do you think the people are pissed off that it's now at TNT Sports? It's been lumped in with MotoGP, Red Bull, rally cars or whatever it is. Do you think that
I
that's
think
a
it's
lot
just
of
the
it?
price, like because if you But I think it's just bundling, right? £30 is a lot of money a month, and I guess they're just betting that everyone will pay it in maybe for the Grand Tours. Probably like Tour de France is maybe their home, but it's also like, do these executives actually understand cycling? Because is anyone going to be watching whatever Saudi? I forgot what the Saudi races are even called. Even the like Mallorca races, Alula Tour.
Chat GPT greenwash.
Like basically
race.
all of these. Well, yeah, 1.2, 2.2 races. They're probably like, oh look, this team's riding in it, but it's like these are just like small races. It's not like I couldn't even tell you in like footballing terms what they would even be. It's like not even like the Carabao Cup. It's like watching the Saudi League kind of vibe. Yeah, I think it's like not understanding the sport.
I think honestly, it
seeing
needs
it
to
from
have
a
that.
financial point.
It needs to have that like wrapper of everything. Like, can you imagine if, you know, the biggest thing that pisses me off, like two biggest classic races are what, Paris-Roubaix and Tour of Flanders.
Yeah.
Okay, Paris-Roubaix, you turn it on, you're already like 100k into it. But there's there's other bits that people love. It's like Formula One. People just like the build. I know it's Formula One's Formula One. It's a bit more exciting than watching some blokes go over cobblestones, arguably. But
yeah,
people like the kind of the pre-show. People like the whole bit, and that's part of it. And I feel that you're right.
It's also when you watch football on TNT, there's adverts. Are they not like, if I'm paying £31 a month to watch cycling, are you going to tell me there's not going to be any advert breaks? Because what I used to have on your app, there was no adverts for like ever.
Look, I think if there's anyone listening that works in PE, private equity, I reckon it's 100 mil is what it would cost you to consolidate cycling. 100 mil. 100 mil, I reckon, to consolidate cycling. Because then what you do is you homologate it over a year, right? So you buy up the rights access. You have to let certain rights expire before you can do it. So that, Tour de France will be exclusive to TNT or whoever, where it's going.
I think the Premier League are doing that in England because they want to. Because it would make sense for them to have an app in this country so that we could actually watch the football rather than it being across. It was across 3 this season, but it's going down to 2 because TNT and Sky didn't like that Amazon could buy like 2 weekends of football and then showed them all at the same time, which no one else can do because of like the 3 p.m. blackout. But I think the Premier League want to have it like the NFL, where it's like they have their app, you can watch all the games on like playback.
Yeah, you own the IP, you own all the merchandising. You call it something like, I don't know, I don't work in marketing, call it Cycling Centre or something, and you do IP around it. But then you also do a thing like, the fact that there's UCI points, and the UCI work very differently to how the rest of the races work and how the points are done that way. And then, there's the UCI Teams Cup, and then there's the different ways that teams get ranked in certain, and the wild card system and the promotion system.
Sounds like you want to bring back the Hammerhead series.
Dude,
is it the Hammer series? Not the Hammerhead, Hammer series.
The Hammer series, yeah. The promotion thing. So the fact that the UCI run a really weird way of ranking the teams, sure, but that then gives teams access to it. But if you're a smaller team and you get a wild card, surely you should get paid because you're not the same budget as other ones. Surely there should be a rights payback, a chargeback. 100 mil, I reckon it costs you 100 million to do it properly. Yeah.
Here we go. Now, Cobbles and Cols will go out to the market. We will report back of any investment.
Yeah. Yeah, there's anyone from BlackRock listening. The DMs are well open.
We've got a vision. We've got a vision mood board. Maybe the next. Yeah, because we've been speaking to the Trash Boys about getting them back on. And they're like, this could be the topic. How do we bring cycling back to the people?
I think I've said this on the podcast before, but I was once at an event at Sigma Sports, Hampton Wick, and it was Ned Boulting, his road book of cycling, his almanac, I think it's called. And I asked him this question. I said, "Do you think it should be homologated like Formula One?" And then the guy shut me down so fast. He was like, "No, you clearly don't understand what cycling is about."
But it definitely needs to be done. I understand, like, it's fun that like a man gets like his height in bananas as a trophy, or like his height in cheese kind of thing. But I think we're getting to the stage of like modernization. You're paying like riders €6 million a year to ride a bike. Well, plus more for whatever tad he's on. It's going to get to the stage where if you want to see a bit of sport, you gotta bring it all in and make it more professional.
100%. Need to be done by
But
rights.
it would also, yeah. But it would also be like, I guess the UCI are a bit like FIFA vibe of you got idiots running the sport, because you kind of need to. But like, what's the point in relegation fight, which is like 3 years long? Like, it should be yearly. You should give out like rider suspensions for like deviation. You should like
It's
actually
like
run it.
it's like
Like,
that
what do
thing
the
they did,
points mean?
dude. It's like that
What do
thing they
like?
did. It's like the same thing the Middle Eastern guys did with golf when they were like, "We'll just make our own league. We'll pay loads of big bonuses. We'll make it really flashy. We'll put big TV money behind it." And then the PGA were like, "Oh, okay, you can a reverse merger." Same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing. Reverse merger. Like someone in the Middle East will do it, and they'll just reverse merger all of the rights. Well, that's what will happen.
Yeah, you kind of want it all to be like run. You want good television viewing. You want it like, I'm sure everyone would pay like £15 to £20 a month. Realistically, that's
You got.
fine. 30 is a bit like, whoa. Like,
What we have to think
I love
about is
cycling,
like
but
if you homologated it, it wouldn't just be 20, 30, 20 quid in Europe. It's going to be like 20 quid globally. So you would properly have to go out. You go and take the rights away from ESPN and Canal Plus and all the places in Australia. And if people want to watch it, you can only watch it through here now. You only do with us direct. No, that's
yeah.
how they have to. Like I said, the NFL does it. If you want to watch the NFL football, you have to watch it through us. Tough
The
shit.
NFL runs for 3 months of the year.
But how
It
many
starts in
people? It's the
September and it ends next weekend.
arguably it's the biggest sporting event in the world.
Well, it's the greatest
Yearly
show on
biggest.
turf, they say.
Oh.
That's the marketing, baby. But like, yeah. But because there's no relegation or anything, it's kind of like, that's why all the teams are valued so high in the NFL, and why, because of relegation in the Premier League and there's so many more football clubs, they're not as well valued. But all the American investors see them as like big opportunities because they've got
But
like
mate,
a lot of outreach.
but we've talked about like the fact, and we've talked about this bit before about like the money in cycling, right? Like when you and I, we're the same age, right? When you and I were like, oh, that person's gone pro, or they're a stagiaire for Quick Step, and they're on 17,500 euros, and they're also working in a bike shop. You know, this is 2012, 2011. Stagiaires are now on 180,000 euros a year in the men's for World Tour. They've got a whole team set up. Like they've got nutritionists. That part's gone so much more professional. And like you spoke about Taddy. Taddy's on €6 million a year. That's his salary. That's not his Colnago money. That's not his DMT money. That's not the money for
It's
Met.
sponsored other like personal sponsorship deals.
Matthew
Although I
Van
don't
Der
know if
Poel.
do they exist? Oh yeah, no, they do exist. What's the thing that UCI have like they're not technically meant to have? Like shoe deals or something like that.
No. So shoe deals
Or
you're
like,
allowed. Shoe deals you're allowed because in most World Tour contracts, you have to wear the team kit, and the shoes are the only thing that aren't sponsored. It's actually quite weird. God, this is all like the weird business side of cycling. The shoes bit is weird, but because they say, oh, everybody's feet are slightly different, so you can choose whatever shoes you want. And lots of people wear nimble. That's where people wear City if you've got narrow feet and physique shoes. But it's not the same for people's saddles. what's the 3 touch points on a bike? Is your shoes, your saddles, and your hands. You can mess around with the grip. If you don't get on with the saddle, you don't get on with the saddle. But that's not the same. So obviously that people know they Sharpie out the logos on saddles and things like that. But yeah, shoes, you can choose whatever shoes you want. Most people go custom. The UCI thing is that you have to be able to buy it. That's one of the things. You have to be able to buy something technically.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think there is something around like brand deals with like I don't know. I feel like no one could get like a Nimble. Nimble can't pay you like how Nike pay Ronaldo for like to wear the boots and Adidas use Messi kind of thing. I don't know if it's like that.
I'm pretty
As
sure
in,
it
I
is
think the
because
team has to have them as like some sort of weird sponsor for them to
no,
be like.
I think it is because Cav used to have. So Cav used to have Nike
Yeah,
cycling shoes. They
it's only
weren't
Adam
Nike at
Blythe.
all. They're not Nike at all. It's made by a guy in Italy, and he makes bespoke cycling shoes and then puts a Nike tick on it, and they pay Mark Cavendish €50,000 a year. That's how it works. It's not Nike at all. Adam Blythe said it on another podcast. He's like, no, some
Oh,
bloke in Italy does them.
because they always look pretty sick, don't they?
Yeah, he had a pair of like cheetah ones. They were really cool. But like there's so much money in cycling now, and that part's become so professionalized. Like, I don't know if you watched that Australian guy on YouTube who's now at EF. He used to be at Lotto Soudal.
Harry Sweeney.
Very good, and he lives in Andorra, and he's like, I've got to do this. I've got to do this. He's doing lactate testing. I saw a video yesterday, and it's not like the old days where you could take off like 3 months over the winter, couple of tune-up rides. Like, it's so professional, and there's so much money. Like, Mathieu van der Poel turns up to cyclocross races in the Lamborghini Urus and wears a Richard Mille.
Yeah, I think there was a Ineos video the other day of like Geraint Thomas and Kiwato walking down the beach. And Kiwato was just like, yeah, this just used to be a warm-up race, but now everyone's like tuned up. Like from January till like October, everyone's on.
Honestly, something needs to change, right? Like, I think people like having that kind of switch on, switch off content, and I think all the people that started like into cycling after COVID, which is a lot of people that listen to this podcast now, right? Everybody knows the Tour de France. Not a lot of people know like Tour of Flanders, really, Paris-Roubaix. But if you're watching a video on GCN, which is like 5 minutes about Tour of Flanders, and then they go, oh, it's on next weekend, and you can watch it on GCN Plus. Okay, I'll give it a watch. You've got like the 1 hour highlights. Like, we never used to get 1 hour highlights. We used to get 2 minute highlights. Carlton Kirby. It's sad. It's really sad, but
you never know. People who already have a TNT subscription might start watching cycling. You never know. There could be like some weird boom. But it's highly unlikely.
Yeah, I just don't. Maybe it's one of those things where Warner Brothers don't know what to do with it, so they've had different products. So they had GCN, then they moved it to Discovery Plus, and then they said, right, let's just put it on TNT. Then that's one less thing to think about. So rather than having it on another portal, we have it on this one. And then maybe next year they go, actually, do you know what? Someone gives another bid for it, and they're like, we'd like to have this back, and they get the rights back.
Because Eurosports was always going to go away, because on their Wikipedia page it said that Warner Brothers had announced that they were going to close it down in like 2 years. So I guess this is the 2 years. But I just assumed everything would just be on Discovery Plus rather than... Because TNT just seemed like the premium football package rather than like, oh, now it's the sports package. So I guess they're adding to like people who've already got the existing package. We're like, look, we've added more sports to it for the same price, rather than like all the people who've. Because I imagine the demographic of people who watch sport on just discover it. Like people who watch cycling and motocross is probably like not that much compared to people who watch football and whatever else, and boxing and whatever else is on TNT.
So I know nothing about football, famously. In the Venn diagram of viewership, how many people do you think are football watchers religiously and have TNT and are also cycling fans? How many people would be like, "Oh, result! I don't have to pay for two things anymore."
Well, I think when you pay for like the high end TNT Sports and Discovery, you got everything else for free anyway. Because they had the three. There was like basic, which was just the TV shows, and then like sort of the niche sports of like alpine ski, like Eurosports, basically. uh, and then it was like TNT was all like the, I guess, rugby, football, and boxing kind of vibe. The sports that are like, I guess, more spoken about, I guess, on like news websites.
More in the mainstream media.
Yeah, I imagine there probably is some people who watch football. I'd say there's people who watch cycling. I say probably half, if not more, probably watch football. But with football, I imagine if football's your primary, then you might only ever watch like golf or something. But then you probably have a Sky subscriptions if you want that. Because TNT is only like one game a week, and maybe Champions League. So
Champions
it's
League
not
isn't on.
like,
Oh, I guess because people watch all of the games in football, right? Like they watch
yeah.
all of the games.
Yeah, I don't really know. I think it's basically, I think they all cater to like, in England there's like the top six, which is just, it's not, doesn't mean they're the best. It just means that they're the ones who like will most likely have the most money. And like Man United, Arsenal will have the most supporters, and Liverpool. I forgot Liverpool. So
again,
like you're banking on them being in Europe, which is usually quite high.
But again, this sports thing, this goes back to this as well. This TNT thing. When you join the Premier League, from what I understand, Premier League gives clubs like a couple of mil, right, to go to a transfer market and buy people.
I feel like you get like 100 mil for just coming last these days, but I
Right.
could be very wrong.
And why
I know
is
it's
that?
like it's very high TV money.
TV money.
It's the biggest export. I'd probably say that I guess Britain well, the United Kingdom, England has.
Yeah, probably. But like, think about that. Like, the reason they get it is because of the rights money. It's because of the rights, and they evenly distribute it between the teams, and they not only get sponsorship money. Yeah.
I think this was like 10 years ago, but like the whole Bundesliga money, like the German Premier League, for their like TV deals around the world, was the same price as just like the Premier League rights for Singapore. If you wanted to put like the money into proportion, like something crazy like that.
But it gives you all of these leagues, all of these whatever, they all get TV. They all get TV licensing. It's cycling that it's like live by the sword, die by the sword. Sponsors every year. Half the team managers are spending their time, and it's like it's not like there's not money in cycling. Like there's a lot of money in it, and it's
and that's with like no stadiums. No one's paying for anything, like fan wise.
No one pays for anything. You can go.
All the Premier League clubs, the Premier League clubs have gone to this point where like they could probably charge you nothing for the stadiums because they make that much money, but they just do because they can, and it's tourism, and they can make an extra a bit of money. But they don't actually have to charge you £85 a ticket. They only do that because of all the tourists.
There needs to, you can't charge people to. You can't
stand on a mountain.
Yeah, you can't put a barrier and say to everybody it's €5 to go up the mountain. That's insane. But there are loads of things they could probably do, because at the end of the day, the reason this it's actually also disproportionately it affects women's cycling the most. By far and large. If you think there was barely any coverage on when GCM was in its prime, and then Discovery Plus, and then it's going to be a massive disruptor for that. If you think it was difficult enough to get men's cycling now, it's inaccessible. Women's cycling is going to be completely impossible to get hold of. It's a similar sort of thing. If you think about the demographics, like the gender split of people who watch professional cycling, it's skewed way towards men, frankly. It just is.
It is. I think like quite a lot of sport.
Yeah, correct. But it's like, at least in, women's sport, the rights get shared. Like Women's Premier League, the rights get shared. There's an actual safeguarding policy. Safeguarding, I mean, salaries, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Not the other thing.
I think there's. I feel like Teo's the only one who I've seen be like, this is a joke kind of thing. But I thought more of the team owners would come out and be like, our sponsors pay us this money, and now you've put it behind a paywall, so we're missing out on people like seeing who our sponsors are. ASO, UCI, you need to sort this out.
Like, I also, I mean, I know I've said it before, but I'll maybe say it a different way. I also don't know if it's necessarily just because it's a paywall. I think it's because it's now quite difficult to access or to understand where it is. It was hard enough on Discovery Plus to find cycling, and it had its own bit. But to know you have to go on TNT Sports, pay 30 quid, and you're like, Jesus, right? I thought this was for football. It needs to be carved out. It needs to have its own thing. Look, if it was, it's just people are not going to know where to find it. And I think GCN genuinely was the best place to do it because they already have a latent platform. But yeah, it's a bit crap, isn't it?
Yeah. I guess the next stage is, do you think I think Sky, you can only buy it, like, if you're only interested in like F1 or golf or Premier League, you can only buy that sports package. Mm-hmm. So I guess TNT might start doing the same thing, right? If they're like, oh, maybe see how it goes this first 2 years, and then like, oh, let's see if we make a cycling specific one, how many people are going to sign up for it? Or do you think they're just like, let's just see how much money we can see, and then if we think it's too much, we've got a backup plan?
You see, I don't know if it's the TNT thing's only really affecting the UK, right?
Yeah, but I think they're American because they bought BT Sport. But I guess they'll with all these sports thing, it's like, oh, we don't want this anymore, and then they send it off to someone else. I feel like Sky seems to be the only one in this country that ever holds sport down for the longest, and the BBC.
Yeah, I think that I don't imagine them. Well, maybe they would, but I don't really imagine them carving it out. Maybe that's famous last words, but I think what they're hoping to do is because it's a niche sport, cycling, grand scheme of things. It's a bit like, it's the kind of homologation of, we show football here and we show cycling here, and we're the kind of one platform, and it's 30 quid and you get everything. And if they kind of magnetize enough sports rights, people will just buy them. Because I imagine it's like the football thing. It's like, they said, it's TNT, Sky, and whoever else, right? And if you have TNT, you might not buy Sky. If you've got Sky, you might buy TNT. You might not buy TNT. So if TNT magnetize enough sports, people just go, well, I paid for them, I won't pay for anyone else. And then they got you. And then if they keep adding slightly niche packages, they might get more people continue to do it.
Yeah, I imagine it's going to get to the point where everyone just doesn't buy anything because everything's too expensive. Who knows what's going to happen? Because it's like everything seems to be a subscription now, and everything seems to be going up. We just need to know how many passwords you can have on one account. Maybe this is the plan. If you get like 5 users, you and 4 of your mates, you split it. It's cheaper than GCN.
Do you know what I was looking for a couple of days ago? That's the thing we were speaking about. Do you remember the old GCN Plus documentaries? Remember that one with Andy Schleck in it?
Oh, the Legends ones. They were great. I think they're on YouTube now. You have to be a premium member on YouTube, and you get access to the whole back library of GCN videos.
I looked at that. I don't think they've been updated recently. So I'm a bit like, how much do I really want to watch that thing with Andy Schleck? Do you know what I mean?
I think there was a picture of him and Poggy the other day in an airport. Poggy looked way happier than he did.
But yeah, I think it's not great. It's not great for general cycling. It's not great for female cycling, especially. But
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if they still come up on like YouTube, like the 5-minute highlights. Not that that's how you should really watch sport, but I think the way that people watch sport now is just like YouTube highlights. That's how I think that's how most of the Premier League football is watched
really,
these days. Is people just going on YouTube and watching the videos for 3 minutes, and that's it.
I think the biggest shame about it is, frankly, is about Tour de France. I don't really think it's about our nicheness of like watching Belgian ChatGPT races. It's about. I think it's actually about.
I enjoy watching all the little cobbled races.
Me too.
Because you're like, Tour de Limburg.
I genuinely think it's. I think it's the biggest shame is Tour de France, man. It's the biggest saddest. I thought it was the saddest bit.
Because there'll be people, because some of my mates won't watch any cycling, but they'll see the Tour de France on and they'll watch it.
Yeah.
And they'll text me, be like, "Who's this guy? Is he good?"
Yes, it's Tadej Pogacar. He's a great generational talent.
Put all your money on Guy Martin. If he had the same bike, he's got diamonds in the legs today.
He never does. Well, that was our little mini podcast about GCN rights. But we'll see you on the
bonus
podcast.
Feature.
Yeah, we'll see you on the proper podcast next week, mate.
Did you ever watch Community?
Yes, of course.
This feels like a Troy and Abed.
See you later, everybody. Bye.
See you later. Bye.